remind everyone that tonight is celebration, right? Tonight is joy. Tonight is community. Tonight is family. This is not like a boring poetry reading. Oh, great job. That was a really good line. Yeah. No, that's not this poetry reading. This is Sara Borjas' poetry night. We celebrate her tonight, and we have 3 other poets that are celebrating with us tonight. And so what we're going to do is we're going to applaud, we're going to cheer, we're going to say hell yeah, we're going to say orale, we're going to say whatever is in our hearts and in our minds in response to those poems. Because tonight is about celebration. It's about birth. It's about liberation through poetry. And I'm just so honored to be here for Sara to do this. So I'm going to give you a little intro. I fell in love with Sara Borjas at 2 a.m. on a Canto Mundo summer night over a giant slice of New York pizza. That's the truth. It's the way that she looks into your eyes that does it. How in 30 minutes I was already confessing to her my struggles and dreams for liberation. The light in that place was stark and left little to hiding. A self-proclaimed disciple of the poetic school of Chris Abani, yes, read her interview in the LA Review of Books. Sara Borjas shows us what it means to implicate yourself in a poem, to hold yourself accountable, to bring your own lifeblood to the work. This is not your confessional poetry a la Anne Sexton. This is poetry that unearths the primordial wound. And if you've ever studied with Chris Abani, you've heard that term, the primordial wound. Sara is redefining what it means to be a Fresno poet, interrogating and disrupting the male-dominated roster. She is the scrape of the lowrider that exits the driveway, bothering the neighbors. She is a chola cruising down Who Gives a Fuck Boulevard with her highness. I'm in the back seat. Sara Borjas brings out the pocha in me, the chola in me, the Chicana oldies loving ruca in me. It is my boxed Chardonnay, silk, purple bridesmaid dress honor to host this book launch tonight as we celebrate the publication of Heart Like a Window, Mouth Like a Cliff. Yes. This is a book of poems that got me owning and loving my own pocha identity. I even had a t-shirt made. And in all Latina, Chicanx, pocha, Latin, in all our identity crises, this is why there are the list can go on, but pocha's on top. When I was growing up, the term pocha was used as a derogatory term. I heard it from my uncles who were born and raised in Mexico. Eres pocha, tú eres pocha, you're not Mexican, you're pocha. It's a way of telling somebody, you're not Mexican enough. It's like a Mexican telling a Mexican, you ain't enough. And you know what? We are more than enough in all we are. And that's what it means to me to be a pocha. Yeah. So Sara also gifted me this beautiful line, which is the epigraph of my upcoming chapbook. And the line is, God still owes me a drink for every time the woman I should be has died. Yeah. I love that line. It reminds me to keep living and going. And God owes me hella drinks. Yep. So tonight we have 3 other poets that are joining us in celebrating Sara's book. We have Leticia Hernandez-Linares, Monica Suk, Tongo Eisen-Martin. Yes. And MK Chavez is not feeling so well tonight, so she's not going to join us. But I'm going to get you started with one poem. And this is a poem for Sara. This one's for you. The poem has a name Morgan in it. This is referring to Morgan Parker. If you don't know her poetry, check her out. Yahaira and I went to hear her read, and this poem came out as a response to hearing her read. So, bring on the rupture. I am the breast I hold in each hand, each breast, my breast, small as they be, mine nonetheless. I say never. I say no one. Say, when was the last time? My mascara a night old. I wake on Friday and ask, what is this body anyway? Morgan answers, the body is a person, is a person, is a person. The body is a person. This body is not a fucking abstraction. When was the last time is a question I ask too much. Instead, I should ask, when will be the next time or the first time I check myself? I check myself into a hotel. Begin like this. Beer and a buzz. I want a buzz in my muscle, a buckle in my memory, a stumble. I want a stumble and something electric, something historic and undead, something undead for God's sake, something undead and a current inside me. I send a friend a text of my moodiness. There is no bathtub for my glass, for everything that's breaking, because everything is indeed breaking. The hours, my zipper, the letters in my name. I want the crumble. I say, bring on the crumble, the crooked stumble, bring on the rupture. Thank you. So first up, I'm going to invite Leticia Hernandez-Linares. Leticia is a widely published poet, interdisciplinary artist, and author of Mucha Muchacha, Too Much Girl. That's how it's got to be. A recipient of 4 San Francisco Arts Commission individual arts grants. She has lived and made art in the Mission District in San Francisco for over 20 decades. Let's give it up for Leticia. 2 decades. Damn, you look hella good for your age.
I'm gonna have to breathe a little bit after that. 20 decades. I'm a miracle, behold. I learned to talk, sing pelos en la lengua, a saying literally meaning without hair on one's tongue and suggesting a sense of speaking without reservation. I learned to talk in letras que no tienen forma, formless letters, pronouns foreign, in English and Spanish, singing for a family, learning to walk with tongues made of metal, made of mud. Faces blurry, framed by static in 2 languages. First remembrance at 5 is a dream about waking to sirens and somebody's crying, and La Caperucita Roja skipping through the barrio. You can find your way home through the markers of mispronounced stories. La Caperucita Roja asked the wolf. Ma, no es asked, así no se dice. You can find your way home to the things you see, but you're not supposed to repeat, like rusty car carcasses surrounded by weeds, holding up old school cholos, leaning on promises of fleeing. Here, where the light peeks out, the hum of exhaust, the beat of rubber spinning bring us freeway medleys is where I learned to talk. Somewhere between comb and back pocket and feathered hair liberty, big wings are gonna stretch out and fly me away from Joe. And where he's going with that gun in his hand and that Mr. Pusherman who pushed my uncle too hard, tangled in the orange leaves hanging from the torn chair, he lost his language. So, what's your first language? No, your first. Oh, so you're like truly bilingual. But then, what language do you dream in? I dream in black and white, like the letters splattered on my father's chest. If you like Vietnam, you're gonna love El Salvador. I dream in Hail Mary, Mena in the driveway, muffled warnings in the hallways tell that we will need grace. Hard knocks at the door bring pieces of English, brother dead sorry. On the walls, circles and feathers are not armed to deal with muertos is heavy. I've been thinking, she says, can't you write something happy? But if you take my story, you erase my skin, cut my tongue, and then I can never tell you how I never made it to Chola. I got stuck in rock pop, new wave, stop that cha-cha. Fill in the bubbles, all of the above. There were no models, and my father, he didn't believe in God. Solamente en la música. Can you feel? Can you feel? Can you feel the beat within my heart? Can you see my love shine through the door? Can you feel that beat bouncing off my body, breaking me down, wearing me, making me sick? And I need to tell you, it starts with my sex. In the heart and darkness of learning what it is to be female, if there was no pain, there was no gain. Raised as a tragic lady, you don't know how to be happy. It's gotta hurt to be worth something. So I spin this poetry out of memory, break down broken records of history, pantomime the past, and piece identity into transparent textiles. See, I'm at this crossroads between my split tongue and points of unknown origin. So I ask El Legua, guardian of my words, to carry them for me so that you can understand these lines I weave. Iba o iba orisha, alaro ye mo fari bale. Iba o iba orisha. Well, thank you. Welcome to Sara Borjas. Beautiful, beautiful book. I had a request. Sara requested a poem. Like, that was so exciting, right? I was just like, I have a special request. So that's a pretty old poem of mine. That's the one I keep in my pocket. And she asked me to do it. And thank you for asking me to do it. Because I think sometimes we're just like, you know, we make things and then we kind of put them on the shelf and we forget about them, tell ourselves a story. So that was nice for me. Thank you. You know, I thought I was her only boo, but apparently I have competition. That's all right, because I'm a win. No, I'm just kidding. It's beautiful to see the love that you create and that follows you, you know. We met in D.C. and I'm not going to tell the story. Oh, okay, I'll tell the story. So she shows up. It's a writer's conference, so, you know, you can continue to think what happens at those types of things. And we're about to go to the beginning of it. I did mention it was 11:30 in the morning, right? And she walks in with a bottle of bourbon and I think a thing of rosé or something, I don't know. And everybody's meeting and talking and la la la. And then we're like, should we have a drink before we go to the conference? It's like Vegas for writers, right? And I've never been in Las Vegas. I'm not really feeling that, but I'm really feeling Vegas for writers. It's fun. Once a year, you know. And so we're about to leave, and she's like, and everybody got excited and carried away, and then we're going to, she was like, so are we going to drink or what? And I was like, oh my God, I'm in love. But it was in love with the over-familiarity and the rawness and the, like, just, you know, the boldness. That's what I fell in love with, because I'm always that one, it's too much, you know. So we keep finding each other, we're making a mess together, and it's just a wonderful thing, right? Yes! So speaking of that, I wanted to share, so I have a very special friend here, Andrea Chicas, who I've known for 20 decades. Yeah. So she actually wasn't born yet when I met her, and so I wanted to tell you, Andrea, that I am in a book. You're getting noisy, hey? It's my time. I'm in a book that was published in El Salvador called Poeta Soy. It's after Claudia Lars, Salvadoran poet who doesn't get enough attention. And I'm the only poet in here who wasn't born in El Salvador. I was made in El Salvador thanks to my father's colorful storytelling. But yeah, and I have a poem in here, and it's for Prudencia. I have several actually, and it's for Prudencia Ayala, who was an indigenous woman from Santana, El Salvador, who was the first woman in the Americas to run for president, and she was a writer and a shit starter, a cachimbona, a chingona, and so I have a piece in here for her, and I'm gonna give this book to Andrea. It's not for sale. They made it for kids and youth in El Salvador, so y'all get to be part of all this love. And this is in Spanish. Del vientre de un árbol, para Prudencia Ayala. Un relámpago corta la noche como papel. El árbol centenario ofrece cuna, refugio contra la tormenta. La criatura mítica nace mitad montaña, mitad niña, silbando extrañas melodías del futuro. Aprende a coser y lee los hilos para ver desde las alturas. Sus preguntas forman la avalancha que entierra las explicaciones de los varones y de todo de lo que no se puede cuando no se lleva un bastón. La escritora convierte la corteza en su insignia de valor. Usa las astillas para demarcar caminos presidenciales y calles donde puede andar con el bastón y su payaso. Piel de hoja y tierra, ella llena la página prohibida de cuentos de cómo sus hombros y piernas superan el volcán. La hembra, como gigante, estrenando páginas de nube y tinta de relámpago para convertir la fábula en realidad. I'll get to you later. Siwanava, 2 words in Nahuatl that mean spirit and woman. That is the name of the monstrous bad mom, bad wife, lady, La Llorona. There's so many names in so many languages, right? Con el agua del río, con el agua del mar, con el agua del río, yo me llevo todo el malo. The accounts from first countries ring expectation in our ears that girls who live at the river arrive there in punishment. Puzzle pieces of legend outline our paths, tell tales about women needing liberation from dirty, from choice themselves. Con el agua del río, con el agua del mar, con el agua del río, yo me llevo todo el malo. Water songs faint behind bus emissions alongside women pushing food, balancing babies, strutting bodies tattooed with blanks, waiting to be filled. Water songs reshape shoulders cowering from myths about bad mothers made ugly, tasked with spooking the misbehaving. Have you heard? Aunque la calle está sucia and the trees are bitter, Oshun vive aquí. River runs through the mission by way of interlocking stories, lessons passed like batons in a race, like a drug exchange with a nod, pound, entre nosotras. Have you heard? 13, she runs track, writes poetry, and smiles hello to the 45 years of a splintered heart woman who rocks leyenda on her front porch, anticipating new endings 23 years of sewing hands next door might bring her. 10, she spits words like too thick cloth, squeezing in between small gaps into doors closed like her speech. 8, her raised hands jitter to help teacher, 29 teacher lost in unfinished sentences shooting in the air, skinny 5-fingered branches. 35, squeezing water from her long strands, she washes her hair in the sink, walks the river down the street, laughs at the man's verbal intrusions, fizzling mid-air so starved for a medicine not for sale. 3, she practices swim strokes, plans to run track, maybe write poetry, smile hello at the woman rocking leyenda on her front porch about how the river isn't so bad. Have you heard? Aunque la calle está sucia and the trees are bitter, Oshun vive aquí. And the river flows, blue and red from La Muralista's brush, stamping our likeness on the sides of buildings, reassuring us women's power, like that of water, is feared, misunderstood, even by gods. Con el agua del río, con el agua del mar, con el agua del río, yo me llevo todo el malo. I'm going to close with one more real quick, just for the mission. Jibber-jabbered a little bit long, but can't go without something for my hood. Vecindad en paderes que cantan en colores de fuego y sol, brillando como las manos que tocan el tambor, la orquesta de la misión. Oh, sorry, I forgot you were here. Neighborhood polyphony. The symbols are black lids closing on a crescendo of trash, detailing the week's chorus. Audience member greets the morning by siphoning big bottle into little liquor to go plastic miniature because the day is speeding ahead and he needs fuel. And apparently Sara's not there. The composer nods at the man wearing a rainbow pattern propeller hat who chalks a river of soft pastels on the possibility of blank pavement. The boy and I step over watery lines pointing the way. Echoes of conch shell reassure we are going the right direction despite the constant stream of strangers. In the distance, the timpani keeps time with the bulldozers ripping up asphalt and recuerdo. The man who sleeps through intermission dreams about clean blades on his grass pillow, the green planting currency filling his pockets. Blinds raised and swaying curtains strum the man awake in time to avoid the percussion section, courtesy of the garbage truck. A resonating bass closes the arrangement, the abandoned couch remaining. Having found some cash in his sleep, the man offers to buy the audience member a drink on him. In alleyways with no room for single notes or solitary pedestrians, they compare notes about pretend money with a good exchange rate and empty bottles that overflow. La orquesta de la misión, ta-ta-ra-tan, ta-ta-ra-tan, el ritmo de estas calles, nacida en el corazón. Gracias, congratulations, Sara.
Next up, we have Monica Suk. Monica is a Cambodian-American poet and the daughter of former refugees. She's the author of Year Zero, winner of the Poetry Society of America Chapbook Fellowship, and is a current Stegner Fellow at Stanford University. Let's give it up for Monica.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be a part of your book launch, Sarah. I'm really excited to read your book, so congrats, and thank you. It's really hard to follow Leticia because it's really hard. So I don't have a book out yet, but I have a MacBook, which is up here. So I'm gonna read some poems that feel really new to me. This poem, the title is coming from this loving meditation, okay? It's called May We All Be Happy. I don't know the boy's name, so I ask everyone. No one knows. The boy walks all over the room, circling windows. He steps on construction paper on the floor, where the other children sit, coloring together. They draw snakes and a house, a sunflower as big as the sun. None of these children know the boy's name, the boy who has no interest in coloring. He runs out of the playroom in the hallway into the kitchen, opening windows without screens. I don't want him to tumble down the roof. I don't want to imagine what his parents might say. So I watch the boy carefully, now hiding under the dining room table. He pretends he cannot be seen. I pretend I cannot find him. Now he locks the door to the hallway and bursts through another door, closed for a reason. A meeting among adults about sons, brothers, husbands, fathers, named Hehov, Kunhem, Amlorn Saratana, Run Pek, Tiprak, Ukti, Kuphing, Pingchuan, Kanghen. Men whose families have come to fight against deportation, to mobilize for the rally in San Francisco. An elderly woman speaks up for her son. She wrings her hands asking for help. The woman says she has lost other children in the war before this war. Before I can ask the boy, whose son are you? Thank you. I'm so new to the Bay Area still, but I feel so lucky to be embraced by communities like the Center for Empowering Refugees and Immigrants in Oakland, where that meeting took place. And it was really amazing to see just this intergenerational rally happening, the elders showing up, elders who survived the genocide in front of the ICE detention center in March this year. So yeah, I'm honored to be even thinking and dreaming with these people and fighting with them too. Okay. I used to live in Brooklyn, and yeah, who said woo? So I really miss Brooklyn. I miss bagels. I miss being able. Who said that for bagels? So, but yeah, I really loved being in Brooklyn, and then I was broke and I had to leave. So, but I was I feel like when I lived there, I was navigating so much of my history there, and I write a lot about the killing fields in Cambodia and what it means to be a daughter of genocide survivors. So I think at the heart of my work is intergenerationality. But this is a poem which talks about a book that I was reading called The Cruel Radiance. And in Khmer, we have a term that says you're not enough either. And for those who are in diaspora, it's called Anekachun. And in the poem, you'll hear the translation of that. Cruel Radiance. I take the R from 86th Street to teach poetry in Manhattan. My hands sweat on Cruel Radiance. The front cover, photograph of a girl the Khmer Rouge executed, one of many children presumed counter-revolutionary enemies as the soiled descendants of such. My chest heaves. To everyone on the train, I do not say, all the sobbing inside of me, all of it you know now, but you don't know what I am called, Enekajun, traitor of my roots. Instead, I catch the N across the platform, continue reading about Toslang. We were not inside those prisons. They were. Our hells almost certainly are not theirs. A white girl with a streak of blue hair falls flat on her back, her head a bowling ball close to my foot, her head a bowling ball that rolls on the floor. I look up from reading Cozy Existential Atmosphere, or Adorno's words, and there, a white girl on the ground, breathing, breathing, breathing. Someone call 911. Someone press the emergency button. Someone pull the girl up. Now she is sitting, telling someone she's on her way to 23rd Street as the train screeches to my stop on 8th. Doors open. I see how the distinction between victim and executioner becomes blurred. I want to cancel class. Because why? So I can sob about the killing fields and how Enekajun feels? I'd rather do that today. My head could be a bowling ball too. I could fall over from this too. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I wrote a poem called The Death of Henry Kissinger, and then I realized, oh, he's not even dead yet. So then I was like, I gotta make this really good. It can't take up too much space, because, I'm not trying to let this white man take up space in my book or anything, but, he said something fucked up. I mean, he said many things. Everything he says is probably fucked up, right? But, in the context of the bombings of the Ho Chi Minh Trail into Cambodia, that sideshow that Nixon, the Nixon ordered, Henry Kissinger said to General Alexander Haig that it's an order, it's to be done. Anything that flies and anything that moves. You got that? And that stayed with me for a really long time. So I wrote this really short poem. So, The Death of Henry Kissinger. Again, the epigraph. Anything that flies on anything that moves. You got that? Bubbles children blow toward the sky, burst bombs into jasmines. And a mother's golden lotus bud orbiting her daughter's neck. In Tekeo, at the edge of the forest, if the spot-billed duck were to lay an egg. Henry would die. Yeah, I hope he gets to see that poem. Maybe I'll read like 2 more poems. Yeah, I can, maybe we'll write some more death poems about white people who really fucked up our country. So, let's continue that tradition. All right, this is called Americans Dancing in the Heart of Darkness. It's the water festival. The city is a crowd. My skin full of sun, like so many country people who have come to Phnom Penh. The Americans hate me, and I hate them, but they're the only students with me, and maybe I'm American too. When I return to my windowless room at Golden Gate Hotel, I order fresh young coconut, a club sandwich, and French fries. A woman with a bruised face and a silver tray walks up 7 floors, knocks on my door. The exchange students order room service too, and the same woman walks the flights of stairs 9 more times. Fireworks crackle, and I think, I'll be back to the same festival with my family. In the morning, 30 missed calls. There has been a human stampede on the bridge to Kopek. 347 reported dead, 755 injured. Shoes litter the river. The exchange program advises us to stay away from Diamond Island. The Prime Minister's remarks, this is the worst thing to happen since the Khmer Rouge. The Americans agree. I grow quiet in my windowless room. I step outside for air. The city, a crowd disappearing. The crowd evacuated to the provinces. Cambodia, a perpetual stampede. School canceled at the university, a funerary ceremony instead. Do the Americans understand? The program director, when she tells us her neighbor's son has died? Most likely not. Later that evening, they still don't understand, but I go with them anyway, to the heart of darkness, the nightclub empty but open. We dance with Khmer boys. Strobe lights pull us on the floor, this way, that. Our feet grope the shiny black tiles reflecting the bar where old expats sit with Khmer women making money. Yeah, it isn't expensive to get here or get back. We took a tuk-tuk and we dance. They laugh. Meanwhile, my mother calls me. My father calls me. My auntie calls me from Prey Ang. My uncle down the street from the hotel. My uncle in Kandal. My cousin's uncle in Siem Reap. And then, thank you. I'm so excited to be in community with you all here, so thank you. I'm gonna read this last poem, ABC for Refugees. Cherubie D, how does a man who doesn't read English well know that Cherubie dumb, those aren't really words, BD, but birds. Cherubie dumb, he stumbles, reading to me by the sliding glass door, Cherubie D, through which I watch my brother play in the dum-dum yard. Cherubie D, Cherubie dumb, like how my father says, fine then, leave, my mother shouts, stupid, dumb. We live in a small BD nest too, one hallway, to be dumb slam doors. Birds? What are birds? Thanks to my father reading with me, I have more feathers. T-H-E, first word he ever taught me to pluck. It is a word used all the time. Cherub, cherub, beat 'em. The mail, the mailbox, the school bus, the. He asks me to read the mail, not birds, mail. If you don't read this, you will turn into birds. And I read it to him the best I can. The end, a feather, two feathers, the end. Mother, mother, repeat after me. Cherubie D, Cherubie dumb, we read together before bedtime. Thank you.
For a second, I forgot I was hosting this. I'm just sitting there crying. I'm like, oh, wait, I got to go up. Thank you, Monica. This is my first time hearing your work. It has touched me in ways I didn't imagine. I've read it on the page or on the computer screen. I'm so honored to hear you read it on your Mac, on my MacBook. Anyway, originally from San Francisco, Tongo Eisen-Martin is a poet, movement worker, and educator. His latest book, Heaven is All Goodbyes, was published by the City Lights Pocket Poets series and won both a California Book Award and an American Book Award. Please welcome Tongo.
I am tall. Way too tall for poetry, man. What is it? Makes no sense. Sarah is I don't know, she's listening and reading Sarah's like, just watching a star explode or something in slow motion. It's something to witness. So definitely honored to take part in that. Here comes some poems. They're gonna get here any second now. You gotta move through the right ear into the right. Here it comes. So I am the son of a hospital room. In a world of bedpans, water does not know his own. I strain to hear every narrator that's in the room. They are the cycling shifts in his face. His faces that like strain and strain, collapse and shoot, freeze and fade, wander in and wander away. I said, man, let's live this hour with no meaning. I am a son, he is a finish. I think this has been more for you than for me, I say, and we smile like water would. What I know now, there was a dark red Sunday sitting under that Wednesday afternoon. A dark red Sunday, a wolf wearing mild skies. What I know now, Chicago streets collecting guards' souls. Sons respect their last breath fathers. Fathers pass away in between two conversations. I know that our blood is 1,000 bullets here. We are skin and edge, fast hands, hunched rivers, prison canvas, strange leaves. We agree are organized, now named more prison, more canvas, and more sketches reach the sun. I should talk to his ghost with a prison pencil. Grew up watching sketch women and men turn and walk away from a foreground cardboard can. Look that deep, 43rd Street collected souls. I say, Pops, as you travel where light means a little less, and home perhaps more, be any man that suits you. Shift low air, kneel in a hurricane, splash a bending image over your face, man, maybe an image of us. Walk east, I guess, eat hurricane, let this lonely love you. My brother and I are driving in an empty cell lane. We are God's evil to these settlers. They might throw us under the shift change. We take wolf naps. We don't know what else we're good at besides this trapping. State lines in the night tide, passing through beachhead America, passing with hurricane memory. 3,000 exits of sludge-bathed apartheid. Everything south of Canada is extrajudicial gun oil in your local unemployment factory. In a few hours, we will fit in. We relax for now. Hop out the car, and I'm a dirty shoe illusion. Leaning on the trunk with the ghosts of switchblades and other rusty services. I'm enemy human and traveling. Father's ashes on the back seat behind two sons in a lane, not for metaphor. Maybe a metaphor about something unfinished. 1 million hands passing us through the Midwest. Last wishes by way of fishtail, daydreams by way of collision. Home in the badlands of translation. Relaxed passing. Great-grandparents' finger bones, father's ashes, no longer arms, just tattoos. Badlands imagination, barely translating a father's last trip home. We don't know what else we're good at besides just traveling. Exits in collage, exits in pieces of 1970s kitchen plates and a good luck refrigerator. We still ain't there. The narcotic swing of how we see yesterday. Get out the car against desperate white supremacy, gas station greetings, stray dogs, and other earth-born alarms. We are straight deadly. Against desperate white supremacy and other senses that die silly and murdered. That shit, man, we don't know what else we good at besides just traveling. 2 coins or the total is us. Character interstate on a journey of a million parallels. Some like me better high, some like me better drunk. Every late night has a summer to it. Cousin Breeze and murder rate barreling like gut-born love songs. Your ancestors are smiling as we pass the time. When we ride this language, past Gary 3000, and a stomach with cast iron lining, proud forearms for meals, 3-man ghost story, fishers of ourselves, cards dealt, narrative implied, maybe something unfinished. Like an Indiana hurricane or Two Midnights in Milwaukee or No Arms, No Tattoos, No Chicago ever again. We don't know what else we get at besides this traveling, and besides, heaven is all goodbyes anyway. From a two-floor skyline, an abandoned house talked to me. He said, young man, you are heroic and 10 years old. Among 20 generations of friends, man, friends will free fall away. They will free fall up. They will free fall the walls with fifth grade speed to industrial paint. Behind secondhand fences. Young man, use quick knife tones. Shit, be bone and brass. Be last laugh music. You are always leaving. Always want to change your clothes from the door. A life and escape. But two-floor skyline says you're the guy that dies in the middle. The friend more blues than skin. The face that cheap hotel schizophrenics can place. With 90 mile per hour bright eyes among dry heat killers, once children 3 feet high and roaming and repeating and aiming at cotton mirrors that hang on breathing walls. So you were 10 years old, tagging along, yawning at well-lit violence, whistling tool shop songs. You will be useful. You will be high and alone, flying on a nephew dragon from a $20 family in a sky that calls itself just more soil. Around walls that are just walls, except these walls suggest you make wives out of highs and currency. Here the air is polite to sleepy glass and bullying walls. Hey, young man, you will come to admit that sometimes suicide is power. Because some people live stronger as ghosts, and sometimes the afterlife empties. Billions of souls enter objects like playground bullets and abandoned door frames. Even broken glass will prove it has voice too. They're 24 hours behind your back. Hey, look over your shoulder right now. Can you hear the sound of drums punching themselves out, the sound of piano parts learned in between assassination attempts? Be bone and brass. Hey, be bone enough for two souls. Be invincible again. Suffer red-eyed accents, professional fingertips, gifted victims, 6 in the morning beer, the first month of probation, to shout at the wall, see these words that shouldn't be home. Hey, look behind you again. Be invincible again. Be windward. Should be a sad machete. Be her son. Be a thief. Steal his back. Laugh too long and never look away. The afterlife will empty and walk you home. A lot of God can happen in 3 seconds. Shit, not much heaven, though. Here's a man before a fight. A leave me alone type character, emerging from the penniless death of a one-way street fiction. Yeah, that's just a fancy way of saying I'm going to make it even if I have to drive backwards. And all I got is chord changes and 1,000 backhands driving the street like I'm choking it. A car full of nephews, hasn't been a son since November. Man, there hasn't been a street I can't choke to death. Hey, this city better back down. You see this gun on the table? And something about staring till it all feels stable. Shit, why wouldn't I protect everyone? All my deaths leave late, man. My son better be quick, My daughter better shoot first. Because we fall for no one. Shit, we fall for nothing. Okay, the first thing you'll feel is the heat. This lady would telling me about possession. Hey, drink life need is what I mostly hear. And most of the world leaves me alone to breathe smog like a giant, to go to jail every once in a while when the genocide kicks up in late May, when politicians have too easy a time. I'm gassing backwards out of one-way street in honor of myself. Hey, and in honor of you, if you understand the nature of the world. And how long I've been just like my father? Shit, one hell of a resemblance, says the anxiety of the neighborhood. This is a crossroads or a crossroads narrative. So much crossroad, people get in the habit of turning back. They turn back only to find themselves remembering me, but not my last words, a man before a fight. Hey, you feel the heat. But there's nothing to keep in mind. Shit, there's nothing to remember. Really, there's nothing to be. It's just this moment, then another, then stare, then it all becomes stable, then the table legs go fuzzy, and Friday's an unfamiliar face peeking in the window. Hey, it's cool to panic for a second. Composure is wasted on your worst enemies. People are marked on that sidewalk. You the only thing life-size. Everybody knows this in the wire hanger empire. When the blood stops walking, that feeling isn't father enough to be permission to fold. You better swing one more time. That father of yours rose from the grave and said, just give me 5 more minutes. He said, running water is a myth. It's us who are running up, down, and all alongside this water. And people don't rise from the grave. They not laid down neither. It's us who flip all around their body. So beware when the people all around you look like they about to jump. It might be your time. You'll feel the heat. And when 4 walls demand to be 4 walls and the earth outside muse, man, don't panic. Don't try to recreate the earth outside. Don't tell jokes to yourself. Hey, don't even talk disrespectfully to the 4 walls instead. Unclench your fist and walk away. There might be heaven if you understand the nature of the world.
I've just been given a technical task. I'll try not to fuck it up. Sara Borjas is a Chicanx Bocha and Fresno poet. Yes. Woo! Her debut collection of poetry, Heart Like a Window, Mouth Like a Cliff, was published by Noemi Press as part of the Acrylica series. And then I pulled this out of your bio because I think we should all listen to this as soon as it comes out. She co-hosts and produces the Lovesick Poetry Podcast, a West Coast poetry podcast launching in 2019. Is it out yet? We can find it? No. You're almost there. She co-hosts this alongside... So the Lovesick Poetry Podcast, launching in 2019, alongside her in real-life cousin and award-winning poet, Joseph Rios. So I can't wait to listen to that. Let's give the warmest welcome to Sara Borjas.
This is actually perfect. I'm so happy that you all came. I'm so happy to be here. Like, I love Fresno, but it's really nice to not be in Fresno too sometimes. You know, I feel like there's possibility. So thank you for being a part of that. I just want to thank the lab for having us, Anthony for helping us out, Tongo for hosting us. Tongo is the writer in residence here at the lab. If you guys dig, then I would look them up, look at their calendar, which is constantly updated, and see what they got going on. They support writers with that are underrepresented, artists that are underrepresented, POC. So be here when you can. I also just want to say, like, what an honor it is to have Norma host. She already knows a bunch of shit I'm not going to have to say in front of everybody, but it's true, we did fall in love over pizza in New York. And I tend to be kind of intense, so it's either like you're with me or you're not. And you all know. You know, all of you who know. And it was from the beginning, and she never judged me, no matter what I said. And I'm grateful for friends like you. So thank you. And I'm really grateful for Monica to be here. I read her work and heard her read at AWP like 3 years ago. And I was just like, I want to do justice like that, you know? And Tongo, I'll never be you, but I'm going to try. Yeah, this is it. This is as much as I'm going to get. Exactly. And Leticia, she keeps me checked. You have that friend that keeps you checked? It's her. So without her, I wouldn't be like as balanced as I am. Trust me. So it's an honor to read with you guys, and it's an honor to read these poems to you. Salud, those of you. So I'm gonna, I go to the next one. Yeah, so I batched some photos with the poems I'm going to read. That is my mother. Her name is Griselda, or Griselda. I'm learning how to say, and this book is dedicated to her. If you don't know what a pocha is, it means whitewashed Mexican. It's a derogatory term. Anybody who has been heavily assimilated, it does not bother me because it is not my fault. So, but I was called it by a homegirl when I used to work at Denny's. This was my first serving job. I worked as a bartender and a server for a long time. And she would call me a pocha. I didn't know what it meant. Figured it out. She wasn't wrong. So I'm just like trying to make it center it as an identity versus apologize for it. So if there was a restaurant where all the pochas went, this is what it would look like. It's called Pocha Cafe. Here we use Cholula, not homemade salsa. We serve corn tortillas with your bacon and eggs. You can ask what is in everything instead of just eating it. We know your pochas love to do that. Enjoy a quesadilla with American cheese. Or nachos we prepare in our brother's hand-me-down microwave he gave us when he joined the Air Force. Or just a flour tortilla spread with butter. Here we listen to War, Smokey, Salina, The Smiths, and Art LeBeau. Let's dedicate everything to our incarcerated cousins serving bullshit sentences in Wasco and Corcoran and Chowchilla state prisons, though we never put money on their books or write them. At Pocha Cafe, we play blood in and blood out, and stand and deliver, and mistake someone's dad on the daily for Edward James Olmos. Even we think all Mexicans look alike, or that all Latinos are Mexican, and that's why our Salvadoran and Boricua homies talk shit. But that's what people do when they love you, so fuck it. If you're a downright cultural traitor, come on in. Here at Pocha Cafe, we only order rice and don't speak Spanish so we don't get corrected, and we stay out the fucking kitchen like our mamas told us, and we refuse lemons and corridos in solidarity. Except when we are completely wasted drunk. Then we can listen to El Rey and drink Victoria and embrace our stretched souls befuddled half-ass burritos. If you don't know the words to El Rey because you don't speak Spanish, just make up nonsense words and sing the hook because you've been drinking and you love that shit. You speak better Spanish when you're drunk anyways. Or you only speak it drunk because you don't want that colonizer's language. You ain't about colonizing the self. You're about decolonizing your consciousness, your morality, your diet, your love. Speaking of pain, come listen to Amor Eterno and step on each other's dirty Converse. Let's be resentful about how we didn't have a quinceañera and forget that we never wanted one until we were sophomores in state colleges when we took a Chicano studies class and gave ourselves a Nahuatl name enjoying mecha. Let's never mention how we thought the big dresses and the gold chains and the placas were tacky, or how we were too ashamed to wear anything that made us look proud of ourselves. Oh, what? You're having a baby shower and your son is turning 2? Come celebrate at Pocha Cafe with our never-ending beer package. You have a padrino for the beer, right? We might be understaffed, but your children know how to garnish your beers, we're sure. In fact, they might be drinking already because some primo you call Johnny or Mike or Bill, but whose real names are Juan and Miguel and Guillermo, are telling them to be a man. We're trying to get them drunk so they can kiss them behind your Theo's work truck in the driveway while everybody is in the backyard listening to Two Live Crew. Come to Pocha Cafe and expropriate your Pochaism as an act of empowerment. Let's compliment each other on how articulate we are, like the white teachers at school. Fuck it. Let's listen to country music and sing cry. Let's mess up the cholo handshake because even our muscle memory forgot our bodies, and this way our folks will feel better about themselves when they judge us. Orale. Simon? Let's find affinity in canned menudo and cilantro with the stems all up in it, and the pig's foot that grosses out half of us and makes the other half of us feel Mexican for once. Gather up all your impurities, your anglicized names, all your anxiety attacks and bad accents, your scraps of culture, and your half-bred shame, and put on your dickies and your gold loop earrings, and come lend us your broken Spanish. Come get drunk enough to tell your dad you love him, and your sister-in-law to finally fuck off. And your sister-in-law to finally fuck off. Come be a part of yourself that scares the entire family. All you pochas, you might know who you are. That's my mother as a little girl, and that's my grandfather, Alcadio. They were living in Brownsville. And they used to take that truck and pick up cans when they find them so they can buy potatoes, just as you really like potatoes. If you don't speak Spanish, tortilla quemada means burnt tortilla, and cara de mierda means shit face. And every time it happens. I know the name of the desert. This is after David St. John. There is a desert inside my mother's iris, a flesh-colored truck rambling through miles of packed dirt, where my grandmother is leaving my grandfather, driving away with all his kids. Dirt rises and fails along a road in El Paso, sand freckles underneath tires, 8 small hands ring like rags. My grandma reaches across the cab over 3 of her daughters to slap my mother across her face. She calls her tortilla quemada, cara de mierda, because she has my grandfather's big teeth, wide canyon mouth, cheeks like hot, empty plains. My mother would rather cut off her hands than hit me. She would rather swallow boxed Chardonnay, open her throat like a rusty silo for rain, light a candle for a girl she knows, and turn this evening into a watermelon sliced, a rest stop where she is allowed to play. In her iris, there is a desert. There is a girl who does not cry, a woman who wonders what she did wrong. I am a daughter who walks through a desert carrying my mother's wounds, each open palm across her child's face, each time a man offered her something he did not have. I trudge a lineage of exiled desire. Thirsty, I love my mother by drinking her cheap wine with her. I bend down in the sand, lap my own sinking steps. So that's me and my brother. My brother Francisco is named after my dad. We call him Frankie. I was like really athletic, and I still am. I tell myself that every day, but who knows? My dad bred us, me I think specifically, to get a scholarship for some type of sport, because him and his brothers all had college scholarships for football, wrestling, all kinds of shit. And my grandpa told him, if you don't do that, you're not going to go to college. Can't afford it. So he did that to me as well. But the consequence of that was that my name was Sarah, and it means princess. And I got really ridiculed heavily all the time, especially because I was playing on all Mexican teams all the time. So you know how we talk shit. And so this is about my name, and also that I was named after the Hall & Oates song, Sarah Smile, because of mom and dad. We're probably smoking some weed somewhere. Thought it was a good idea. So, it's called My Name Disappears from the Script. Sarah is also Abraham's wife in the Bible. My name disappears from the script. My name was chosen on a night black as the back of my grandmother's knees. Joints burned in my parents' hands, one end to another, and smoke wove them together on the hood of a car. My mother says, when the band played Sarah Smile, I knew. Some words are so pretty, they never leave. She was 16. Her body rocked on the hot blacktop of her high school. This is not a dream I have, although I like to dream people up the way I want them. Otherwise, I, the girl with leaky tire, I, the girl with long slutty hair, I, the girl with mismatched boobs, I, the girl who makes the stripper the most difficult cocktail and the most beautiful, I, the girl who talks to my parents like children, I, the girl who listens to their stories and wishes to be someone else inside them. In the Bible, Sarah bore a son at 100 years old. In the Bible, Sarah is both the wife and sister of Abraham. In the Bible, God says things, and they happen so. I girl with the heart that has an idea. I, girl whose entire body resists the idea. I, unnameable duty of Chicanismo. I, converted Chicana who learns her Hebrew name does not make her white, even though hollow notes crew its two syllables the delicate way they do. I designed the anecdote. I talk too much. I speak around my name. I mix all the racket, who I am, who I will no longer be. No wife, no mother, no child of mine to ever feel compelled. No mother's spitting image, no man's model of love, no one's daughter, no one's daughter, no one's daughter. My heart has a plan. God, still asleep, and this is a her, drunk and dreaming. I want to dream together, or at least be gone before she wakes up. If the name is a spirit, then Sarah, the absence of Abraham or anyone's spouse, or the obligation to the story that God gets drunk on, then retells in my voice on the hottest, clearest nights. That's me. Yeah, cute. Look at how white I am though. Isn't it crazy? This is me just like going to my car. So I was so dark. Like if I get tan, I remember all the coaches used to be like, "Are you mixed? Are you mixed?" Because I used to have like long ass hair and it would be really tight, so my eyes were like this, and so they'd be like, "Are you, Asian and black, or what are you, And I was like, I don't know, I think I'm Mexican. I was little, I didn't know. But yeah, that's me. My mom keeps this picture on her vanity. This poem is called I See My Rapist's Daughter. What I remember is the way he turned off the light. Even now, I'm grateful I didn't have to watch him walk out. I can't tell if the tenderness with which I see his daughter and adore her is a projection of myself. The poofy bangs, the purple barrettes my mother decorated my long hair with, they wore me. In my stiff denim skirt, I just wanted to run like my brother in his cargo shorts. I wonder if she fits, this girl. If I can stack her wardrobe inside my knowledge of systems and my latest urge to be close with a man. I forgive the pink vortex clamping my thighs. I've treated it like a sentence. She smiles for her father, my rapist, my prime number in sex, man who has not yet left her and forgotten to take her with him. I try not to hate that girl, although her Dora shirt and socks ruffle remind me why I'm here. The hem of her skirt and tiny teeth are the corner of this memory. On a twin-sized bed, my knees split like dead crickets. My scream devoured by my own groveling tongue. A man always in me. So that is my mom and my dad, shortly after they were married. I did a poetry reading. I called my cousin Joseph Rios, and I was like, hey, what do you think if we ask our parents to read with us at Lit Hop? And he was like, you're fucking stupid, because my mom is a correctional officer, and she can barely tell me she loves me. And I was like, okay, well, So then they called Juan Luis Guzman. And I was like, hey, like, what are you with our parents? So he was like, yeah, my mom's down. And then my parents tried, they're like, I was like, why don't you try to write? They wrote, but ultimately they decided they wanted to read poems of mine. And my dad wanted to read this poem that I'm going to read. And I was like, what the fuck, Dad? And I don't know. Part of me feels like it's a little bit of an apology. I don't know. We could talk about it later. But, yeah. It's called Imagined Variation of Order. I've made my coffee to every man's liking, and still they leave shreds of themselves in this house. I find the toilet paper backwards on the roll, hot Cheetos crushed in an unmade bed. I tiptoe through. I count the half-empty glasses of water on the counter, little hairs stuck on the bathroom floor. I flirt with men at Old Dubliner over a glass of foggy beer, and they ignore what I say. I am the house. My breath is breeze like dewars slapping the shutters around. The wasted cups, the sheets covered in crumbs, the hair apostrophing my days. Clutter I cannot overlook. I flap like a field mouse caught underneath the trap. My parents. The blueprint Chicanismo proposed to me. I am their chore list. The coffee spilt. The crumbs scattered all over the floor. I resent every word from a man's mouth until he confesses to loving me. Until he feels guilty for it. I open the door to each room, hoping the floor is swept, the window is whole, expecting to find a man on his knees, adoring me, as I put countless cups away. Sorry, Norma. Sorry. I tried to write a sonnet, then it got all fucked up. So, this is what happened. I mean, I honestly, if I'm gonna be 100%, I wrote only sonnets for like 2 years when I first started writing, and I also wrote them in Elizabethan English. Yeah, no one told me. Even my Juan Luis Guzman, who was my first poetry teacher, was like, keep going, girl. You know, like, just never, I don't know, I think he knew how, like, tender I was, you know? He didn't want to fuck me up. And now I'm like, why'd you do that? And he's like, I don't know, he said he didn't know either, but he just knew that it was the right thing to do. So yeah, I was writing fucked up sonnets to white men. Someone stop me. I know, it should be a crime. But this is called Binary Petrarchan Sonnet. Oh, wow. It's a contrapuntal, so it's in 2. I broke it. Binary Petrarchan Sonnet. This is my mother. It is harder to return than it is to leave. I trace each knot, arterial and ghostly, back in a notebook. Once, a woman fucked the war out of my body. It was not academic or instrumental. It grew wings despite my mouth. Later, a man lessened a river of yawning bodies into my ear while I slept. I drink the river, collapse each pebble, retrace a woman's tongue along my skin. The tongue is mine. This is its detour. a right-handed attempt at 14 lost lines designed in the shape of a girl who became my mother, the Volta, tattooed breath of a historical criminal, escaped and clinging to my soul, which is a bone. So I grew up reading only romance novels because my mom stayed home to raise me, my brother, and my sister, and she only read Danielle Steele. So I'm an expert in Danielle Steele. I'm also an expert in Law and Order. Yeah, I know, right? Not embarrassed by that one. But I don't know. It was always weird watching my mom always like in front of the TV, watching some white people on TV, reading Danielle Steele, and then that was like my model. And then, I don't know. What I do know is that most of my tias were raped, and that the only reason I'm standing here, a lot of us, is because someone was raped. And so I made up an island where raped women live, and it's after Francis Driscoll, and it's by the same title. It's called The Island of Raped Women. This is my mom and all her sisters at the time, and my grandma's in the middle, and my Uncle Harvey. The Island of Raped Women. The island is an open field, and the animals are happy here. Each morning, underneath tulle canopies, we sip coffee from tiny porcelain cups. We indulge in cup after cup, and we use lots of sugar. Afterward, we wash our dishes in a brook of frigid water. No one here breaks them on the rocks. We hang our cups from hooks on a thatched ceiling, and we put our cups there where our names are written in curled, luxurious script. Everyone knows which is theirs, and we pronounce our names like they're regal. We all have petite porcelain cups. Some have gladiolas, and some have vines or a shiny gold lip or arm. We are so happy with our hands occupied with such pretty things. Steam rises exquisitely from our cups like we've always wanted. When we aren't drinking coffee, we read Danielle Steele. That is all we have to read, and it's perfect because that's all we want to read. Before we tried to read the Bible, but the stories were too unsteady for us. We relax under elm trees like in the classics and read Danielle Steele in the shade where only a little bit of sunlight shines through like lace dollies. We love the delicate pattern on the pages where women lose faith in people, and then someone always comes up the road to save her. They always come on horseback, or they always come by foot, or they always come in some heavily tinted car, and they always save her. There are no roads here, but there are dirt paths swirled all over the island in perfect circles. We stroll through them all day and giggle and hold hands and run into women we knew back in the world, like a librarian from our children's elementary school and our best friend's cousin Carolina, and even our own little sisters. There are whole families of women here, and they all look beautiful, now painted in late sunlight and wearing thin white dresses with porcelain cups. There are grandmothers and great-grandmothers and sisters and mothers and daughters and daughters and mothers and daughters, and we're all so happy, loading our coffee with sugar and walking on paths. Before dinner, we paint each other's nails either pink or lilac or purple, and we compliment each other on our long brown hair. We read our romantic books, and we comb, slip tiny, bright wildflowers into each other's braids. We talk about the stories before we go to bed, how amazing it is that there's always the same story. We all sleep in a series of rows like the flowers, and we have flowers in our hair, so you can't tell really where our bodies are and where the flowers are. We like it that way because we don't have to feel unnatural. We know what's coming. But still, sometimes we dream about our old, delicate lives and our imperfect boyfriends and our strong sons and our bureaucratic jobs and all the fast food cheeseburgers we used to eat and the way we shopped at Trader Joe's versus Food for Less, sorting through the fruit and picking the colorful ones. We dream about these things, these incidental, these old, blue, mysterious things, but we can't have them. Each morning, we are grateful for our pretty nails, so pink and purple, our hair, so soft and suitable. And we drink our coffee. We drink our wonderful coffee. We do not spill. The women here do not ever spill. So my dad grew up picking peaches, and because the fur gets in your, stuck in your skin, we can't have them at my house because he's mad traumatized. So the shitty part is that my mom really loves peaches, and it's her favorite fruit. Also, a consequence of that is that my sister, me, and my brother have never had a peach. You know, it's like when you haven't had shrimp, and then you're like, I don't like shrimp. But it's just, you never had that shit, but you just act like you don't like it, It's kind of like that. So this poem's about that. Also, this is the last poem I'm going to read. And my mom was the oldest of 10. And my grandma left my grandpa when the kids were little. So my mom got the brunt of a lot of my grandma's complexity. And so for all of you who are here, thank you for coming, and this is for your moms too. This is my grandma, Leticia. That's my grandpa, Audio, and that's my mom, the baby. It's called Lies I Tell. A woman has a window in her face. That is the truth. I look like my mother. That is the truth. I want to tell you I am not like her. That is the truth. I am ashamed walking in a woman's body. That is the truth. I wish to take back everything I say. That is the truth. A window can be a mirror. It can also be a door. That is the truth. As a girl, my mother slept in a shack with no windows and one door. That is the truth. My grandma would slam windows. Truth. A mother's hands are stronger than God. Truth. We often use fruit to describe a bruise, like plum or blackberry. Truth. My mother's window, blackberried. Truth. My mother's door, peached. Truth. She loves peaches. That is the truth. We had 3 doors and 9 windows in our house. That is the truth. A woman has a face in her window. Truth. A father has a window, but I don't know where it is. Truth. What burrows is a peach fuzz, he said. That is the truth. I have never been close enough to a peach to eat one. Truth. The worst things last on the skin. Truth. I don't like not having things. Truth. Not all windows open. That is the truth. One night I see my father crying in the yard, head in his hands. That is the truth. I make things up that I want for myself. That is the truth. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Norma, for hosting. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Tongo. Thank you, Leticia.